We're staying in our more dimensioning.dwg file, and I've left it in the same state as I asked you to leave it at the end of the last video. So you've got your baseline dimensions in place at the bottom of the floor plan there, and you're zoomed into them as well, so you can see them reasonably clearly. We're also working out of the Annotate tab on the ribbon as well. Now you'll notice the dimensions are automatically going onto the appropriate layer. That's because we're using our dim layer override here. So it should be set to A010D dim layer, as you can see. Now, what I'd like you to do is just zoom in a bit closer on this bottom left corner. I'm going to show you how to utilize what they call break and space in your dimensioning toolset. Now, these are up on the dimensions panel. So there's break there. And there's space there, okay? They're called DIMBREAK and DIMSPACE if you want to type the commands in. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a dimension of one of the windows in. There's a window there. You can just see them if I hover in. Window there. And there's also a window there. I'm going to dimension this window here. So it's just going to be a linear dimension. So I just go to the flyout, select linear, and zoom in nice and tight so that you get the appropriate snaps on the window opening like that. So you get the two snaps like that. There's the 1524. Then roll back on the wheel and pan up a little bit. And I'm going to take this all the way through those three baseline dimensions and click there. Now that is a cardinal sin of dimension annotation, because you've now got these extension lines of this dimension crossing the dimension lines of these dimensions. So this is where DIMBREAK comes in very, very useful. Now I can do this on all three baseline dimensions if I want to. So I'm going to do that and show you how it works. So we jump up to here, DIMBREAK, like so. So I'm coming in here, select dimension to add or remove the break to. That's my 9601. Click on it, select the object to break the dimension. And lo and behold, it puts two breaks in there and there. But the benefit is when I press enter now, you'll see that this is still all one dimension when I select it. I pressed enter there, obviously, to close the DIMBREAK command. So let's do that again. Let's go back up to DIMBREAK. And we're going to select this dimension here now, the 19964. And select the object to break the dimension. That's our 1524 here. And again, it puts the two breaks in. Now, what we've also got there is select object to break dimension again. So if I had another dimension, like the 1524, breaking other dimensions, I could just go over to that one and also apply it to the 19964 dimension if I wanted to. I don't have any, so I press enter. And then I'll do it one more time. So break again, select the longer dimension, the 29566 dimension, and then select the 1524, and there's the breaks there. Enter to finish. Now, the lovely thing about this is all these dimensions are still all one associative object, even with the breaks, which is a really cool feature in AutoCAD. It also tidies up your drawing because now it's obvious that the 1524 is the window dimension and the other three dimensions are separate to that. Because where the extension lines and the dimension lines cross, you can easily miss an arrowhead and the dimension could then be incorrect on site when you're building this building that we've got the ground floor plan of. Okay, so let's have a look at how we remove these now. So we go back up to DIMBREAK again. Select the dimension to add or remove the break to. So if I go to this 9601 and then right click and select remove, it removes the breaks like so. Now, the other way that you can do this is simply to delete the dimension that is causing the breaks, my 1524. I select it, delete it, and it automatically heals the dimensions that it was breaking in the first instance. So that's the break command, the DIMBREAK command available. I don't want to get it mixed up with break when you're breaking objects like lines and so on. It's DIMBREAK. If you hover over the command, you can see it's DIMBREAK and it's just called break, similar to break at point and break at 2 points, which are geometry rather than dimension related. Okay, we're going to take a look now at DIMSPACE. Now you'll remember when we placed the baseline dimensions in the previous video, we knew that they were at a baseline spacing of 10 times the annotation scale here 100, so we knew that the distance between each of those 3 dimensions is 1000. So it's 10 millimeters in the dimension style times the annotation scale 100, so that when they're scaled down at 1 to 100 in the viewport, they're the right size. Now, here's the trick. We need to remember that it's 1000, okay, that baseline spacing. We can measure it if we want to using the measure tool over on the utilities panel on the home tab if you want to, but you can take my word for it. The distance between these dimension lines here, here, and here is currently 1000 millimeters full size in the model tab here. What about if we want that to be a bit bigger and we don't want it to adhere to the dimension style? We think that this text here is a little bit too close to maybe that extension line there. What we do is we go up to this command here, good old dim space, known as adjust space. So I click on it and it says select the base dimension. Always start with the dimension you want to work out from with the spacing. So I'm going to go with the 9601 there, and I'm going to start coming downwards in the drawing. If you were at the other side of the floor plan, at the top, you'd go upwards, obviously. So you'd work upwards away from the top of the floor plan, or in this case, I'm working downwards away from the bottom edge of the floor plan. It then says select the dimensions to space. I'm going to go for that one and that one. When I press enter, I get this weird little thing come up on the dynamic input, enter value or auto. Be very careful with the auto, because more often than not, it adheres to that 10 in the baseline spacing. You need to type a value in because you're working with annotation scales. So my value, I want it to be a little bit bigger. I'm going to go for 1500. So I'm adding 500 millimeters, which, if you think about it with the annotation scale and the baseline spacing, is another 5 millimeters when you look at it in your layout tabs in that 1 to 100 viewport. So I'm going to press enter there. Watch what happens. They all space nicely, and they've added that extra 500 millimeters in the model space full size between each of the dimensions. That's a really nice feature. I love this one, dim space, because it now gives me space to maybe have another dimension here and another dimension here. And I don't have to adhere to the baseline spacing that's in the dimension style. But I don't have to move them individually either, which can lead to errors. You might not get it exactly right. So the dim space allows you to space a group of dimensions equally, neatly and tidily to the same spacing value. Really, really nice feature in AutoCAD. So that's how you work with your dimension break and your dimension space commands, your dim break and your dim space.